In the vast constellation of the Trump family, every member seems to carry their own unique aura, their own role in shaping the image of one of America's most scrutinized dynasties. We often see headlines dominated by Ivanka Trump, the polished businesswoman and political advisor, or by Melania Trump, the First Lady, whose elegance and reserve became a topic of endless fascination. But standing quietly in their shadows is another figure, one who has chosen a different path, yet still captivates those who look closer: Tiffany Trump. Tiffany is the only daughter of Donald Trump and his second wife, Marla Maples. Unlike Ivanka, who was groomed from a young age to walk in the corridors of power, or Melania, who carried herself as a global fashion icon, and First Lady Tiffany has often seemed more like an enigma. She appears less frequently in the spotlight, yet every time she does, conversations ignite. And more often than not, those conversations revolve around one thing: her style. Why does Tiffany Trump's fashion matter? What makes it stand out against the carefully curated image of Ivanka, who embodies power and ambition, or the graceful, almost untouchable elegance of Melania? Perhaps it is because Tiffany's choices reflect not the weight of politics or diplomacy, but rather a personal statement, a declaration of individuality in a family where every move seems scripted for the stage of history. Her fashion is bold, sometimes even daring. While Ivanka tends toward polished corporate chic outfits that whisper of authority, in boardrooms Tiffany leans into vibrancy, color, and a willingness to take risks. She does not dress to blend into the mold of future leader or first lady. Instead, she dresses as Tiffany, the youngest daughter, the free spirit, the woman who wants to be seen on her own terms. This difference matters because it speaks to something larger. In a dynasty where image is everything, Tiffany's style tells us she is not afraid to break from the script. She may not carry the political weight of her sister or the diplomatic poise of her stepmother, but through fashion, she creates her own voice, one that cannot be ignored. As we begin this journey into Tiffany Trump's fashion world, we are not just talking about clothes, fabrics, or colors. We are asking deeper questions. What does it mean to express oneself when the world expects you to fit into a dynasty's mold? How does style become a form of quiet rebellion, or perhaps even a subtle act of self-definition? And more importantly, what can we learn from Tiffany's choices about identity, individuality, and the courage to stand apart in a family where comparison is inevitable? Ivanka may be the power symbol, Melania the elegant first lady, but Tiffany, through her fashion, remains the wild card, the unexpected note in the Trump symphony. So let us step into Tiffany Trump's world, a world where fashion is not only an accessory, but a statement. A world where being different is not a weakness, but the very essence of strength. Before we dive into this captivating story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of our exclusive stories about power, wealth, and the hidden truths behind the world's most talked about figures. When it comes to Tiffany Trump, fashion is never just about clothes. It is about identity, presence, and a quiet rebellion against the expectations of her last name. While Ivanka often leans toward the sleek silhouettes of corporate power, and Melania embraces timeless European elegance, Tiffany seems determined to paint her own canvas. Her style is bold, youthful, and bursting with color, a celebration of individuality in a world that so often demands conformity. Tiffany gravitates toward vibrant gowns that command attention. Bodycon dresses hug her figure, accentuating a confidence that feels unapologetically her own. At glamorous galas, she is the one who might appear in a sparkling, jewel-toned evening gown that turns heads the moment she steps onto the carpet. When others choose neutral tones or conservative cuts, Tiffany embraces daring slits, bold cutouts, and radiant hues that scream presence rather than discretion. This is not a woman dressing to blend into the background. Tiffany dresses to be remembered. She favors youthful energy over restrained elegance, opting for looks that carry a touch of drama, whether that's a dazzling cocktail dress in electric blue, a fiery red gown, or a shimmering gold ensemble that seems to catch every glimmer of light in the room. Her choices suggest that fashion for her is not about following rules, but about breaking them with flair. What makes Tiffany so distinct is her refusal to play it safe. In a family where appearances are meticulously crafted and every outfit can carry political undertones, Tiffany chooses to stand apart. She does not adopt Ivanka's carefully calculated future stateswoman wardrobe or Melania's regal diplomatic refinement. Instead, she leans into vibrancy and individuality, letting her clothes speak of freedom rather than responsibility. And perhaps that is why people pay attention. Tiffany's fashion feels less like a uniform and more like a declaration, I am my own person. I don't need to fit the mold. It is a subtle but powerful reminder that style is not just about elegance or power. It can also be about courage, about the audacity to embrace one's true self in full color. In the Trump dynasty, Tiffany may not be the most visible figure, but her fashion choices prove that visibility is not always about frequency. Sometimes it is about impact. And Tiffany, with her fearless approach to style, makes sure that when she does appear, she is unforgettable. When we speak of Melania, Trump fashion is not merely fabric draped across her frame, it is a language of power, a shield of elegance, and a carefully constructed identity that became central to her role as First Lady of the United States. Unlike Tiffany's daring boldness or Ivanka's polished corporate chic, Melania's fashion stands in a class of its own, refined, regal, and unwavering in its commitment to sophistication. Melania leans toward luxury, but not in a way that screams extravagance. Instead, she embodies quiet opulence. Her wardrobe is filled with pieces from the world's most exclusive fashion houses, Dior, Valentino, Ralph Lauren, Dolce, and Gabbana brands that symbolize not only affluence, but also status and timeless appeal. She prefers clean, streamlined silhouettes, garments that enhance her statuesque figure without needing loud colors or exaggerated details. A crisp white coat, a perfectly tailored sheath dress, or a sharply cut pantsuit, these are Melania's signatures, a visual vocabulary that conveys both restraint and authority. What sets her apart is consistency. Throughout her years in the spotlight, Melania rarely strayed from her image of controlled elegance. Even in moments when the press scrutinized her every move, she projected stability through her clothes. She was not chasing trends, nor was she interested in shocking the public with daring cuts or provocative choices. Instead, she maintained a steady, dignified look that reassured her supporters and reinforced her persona as the embodiment of a First Lady standard. There is an undeniable aura of power when Melania walks into a room. Her fashion choices do not beg for attention, they command it. She understands the subtle psychology of image, that simplicity, when paired with luxury, can be more impactful than flamboyance. Her presence whispers rather than shouts, yet it leaves a lasting impression, one of elegance, exclusivity, and undeniable authority. And this consistency matters. In the unpredictable, often chaotic world of politics, Melania's wardrobe became a constant, an anchor of grace in turbulent waters. While others experimented with bold fashion statements, Melania remained loyal to her own formula, polished, refined, and unmistakably powerful. In doing so, she not only defined her personal style, but also carved out her place in the history of American First Ladies as one of the most fashion-conscious figures of her time. Melania Trump's fashion is not about risk, it is about mastery. A mastery of elegance, of discipline, and of the art of being unforgettable without needing to be loud. And in that mastery, she stands as a symbol of refined power, forever associated with the image of a First Lady who dressed not to dazzle, but to reign. When the world looks at Ivanka Trump, it does not just see a daughter of a former president, it sees a woman who has crafted herself into a brand, an emblem of elegance and ambition. Her fashion choices are central to that brand, carefully curated to project a blend of modern femininity and unshakable professionalism. Unlike Tiffany's vibrant boldness or Melania's regal formality, Ivanka's style balances between two worlds, the boardroom and the runway. She embodies both the successful businesswoman and the polished fashion icon. Ivanka gravitates toward a palette of soft neutral tones, creams, whites, grays, and muted pastels that exude calm authority. These colors whisper refinement and sophistication, allowing her presence to command attention without the need for extravagance. Her silhouettes are sleek and structured, tailored sheath, dresses, high-waisted skirts paired with silk blouses, or impeccably fitted blazers that announce leadership while still carrying a feminine grace. She knows how to soften corporate attire with delicate details, lace accents, flowing sleeves, or a touch of satin, reminding the world that strength and softness can coexist. Her wardrobe speaks the language of diplomacy. Whether walking through the halls of the White House representing her father on global stages or attending high-profile meetings, Ivanka dresses with a deliberate consciousness of her role. Every outfit is an extension of her political image, polished, measured, and never out of place. She dresses as someone who understands that in politics, clothing is not just fabric, but strategy. What makes Ivanka's style so compelling is its consistency with her public persona. She is always composed, always elegant, never straying too far from the image of a future leader. In a world where every misstep is amplified, her fashion remains a steady compass, projecting discipline and ambition, while also appealing to modern standards of beauty and grace. She does not chase trends for the sake of attention. Instead, she adapts them subtly, incorporating just enough modernity to stay relevant without compromising her professionalism. There is a deliberate intention in everything Ivanka wears. She does not dress simply to impress, but to inspire a vision of what it means to be a woman in power without losing femininity. Her style reassures allies, signals strength to critics, and positions her as a figure who could seamlessly transition between politics, business, and high society. In the Trump dynasty, Ivanka is often regarded as the power symbol, and her fashion reinforces that role. While Tiffany shines with daring color and Melania reigns with regal elegance, Ivanka carves her own space, refined, modern, and politically attuned. Her clothes are not just garments. They are tools of influence woven into the larger narrative of her ambition and her place in history. To understand Tiffany Trump's fashion is to see it in contrast with the two most prominent women of the Trump dynasty, Melania and Ivanka. Side by side, the differences are striking, not only in fabric and color, but in philosophy, image, and identity. When we place Tiffany next to Melania, it feels almost like two worlds colliding. Melania embodies the archetype of the First Lady, refined, measured, a portrait of timeless grace. Her clothing choices are deliberate, designed to reassure, to project strength through quiet luxury and elegant restraint. Tiffany, on the other hand, seems to revel in disruption. Where Melania opts for tailored refinement, Tiffany chooses bold cuts and vibrant tones. Where Melania exudes queenly composure, Tiffany brings youthful unpredictability. One represents the standard, the textbook definition of First Lady elegance. The other breaks the rules, sometimes dazzling, sometimes controversial, but always impossible to ignore. And then there is the contrast with Ivanka. If Melania is the regal figure, Ivanka is the polished diplomat, her fashion carefully calibrated to support her role as both businesswoman and political advisor. Neutral tones, professional silhouettes, subtle femininity, Ivanka's style whispers of power, discipline, and long-term ambition. Tiffany, however, plays by an entirely different set of rules. She gravitates not toward boardrooms, but toward red carpets, not toward diplomacy, but toward self-expression. While Ivanka's clothing tells the story of a future leader, Tiffany's outfits speak of freedom of artistry, of late nights and bright lights. This is the essence of Tiffany's difference. She does not chase safe. She does not seek to blend seamlessly into the expectations of politics or the demands of high society. Instead, she embraces her role as the outlier, the wild card in a dynasty defined by image. For Ivanka, fashion is strategy. For Melania, fashion is a crown. For Tiffany, fashion is rebellion. Yes, sometimes that rebellion sparks criticism. Her bold colors, daring cuts, or party-ready ensembles have raised eyebrows among those who expect her to embody the same gravitas as her sister or stepmother. But Tiffany seems unbothered. Her style speaks for her. I am not Melania, I am not Ivanka, I am Tiffany. And in a family where comparison is constant, that declaration is powerful. Because at its core, fashion is not just about beauty, it is about identity. Melania represents stability. Ivanka represents power, but Tiffany represents the courage to be different. Her choices remind us that fashion can be more than diplomacy or elegance. It can be a spark of rebellion, a refusal to conform, a statement that being unforgettable matters more than being perfect. But what about you? Do you see Tiffany's boldness as refreshing, 1 or 2 reckless, 0? Comment below and let us know your take. There are moments in Tiffany Trump's fashion journey that seem to crystallize exactly who she is and why her style refuses to be ignored. One of the most unforgettable came during her own wedding in 2022 at Mar-a-Lago, where she chose a shimmering silver blue Elisab gown that glistened under the lights like liquid moonlight. It wasn't just a bridal dress, it was a statement. While most brides opt for traditional white Tiffany's gown, radiated glamour and boldness, an unmistakable reflection of her personality. In that instant, she was not just the youngest Trump daughter walking down the aisle. She was a woman declaring to the world that she would live life on her own terms, even under the weight of her family's legacy. Her wardrobe has repeatedly proven her love for risk and experimentation. At entertainment galas, Tiffany has stepped out in gowns with daring cutouts, form-hugging silhouettes, and vibrant jewel tones that made her stand out in every photograph. She favors bodycon dresses that highlight her figure sequin gowns that sparkle with unapologetic energy, and pieces that feel closer to the world of Hollywood starlets than to the corridors of Washington politics. For Tiffany, fashion is less about fitting into expectations and more about announcing her presence with confidence. These choices become even more striking when Tiffany appears beside Ivanka and Melania. At family events or political gatherings, the media rarely resists placing them in the same frame. The comparisons are inevitable. Melania in her sculpted regal gowns radiating luxury, Ivanka in tailored neutrals, exuding polished professionalism, and Tiffany the outlier in vivid colors, glittering fabrics, or a cut that reveals her boldness. The contrast tells its own story of a woman who does not simply echo the family brand, but instead carves out her own, even if it sparks whispers and debates. Fashion critics have often noted that Tiffany's style sometimes feels almost defiant. When Ivanka plays it safe in muted tones to maintain her political image, and Melania embraces the steadiness of high-end sophistication, Tiffany seems to push toward the edge, choosing what's fun, daring, and at times even controversial. Yet that is precisely what makes her captivating. Her fashion may not always conform, but it resonates with a raw authenticity that says, "I am not here to blend in." In every sparkling gown and every bold neckline, Tiffany Trump reveals a truth about herself. She is not afraid of being different. Whether celebrated or criticized, her style ensures that she will never be overshadowed, not even in the company of Ivanka and Melania. Instead, she creates her own narrative, one shimmering dress at a time. For Tiffany, Trump fashion has always been more than just fabric, color, and design. It is her language, her way of speaking in a family where words and images carry enormous weight. Born into the shadow of powerful figures like her father Donald Trump, her stepmother Melania, and her half-sister Ivanka, Tiffany could have easily faded into the background. Yet she chose fashion as her tool of defiance and self-expression, a bold declaration that she will not be silenced or overshadowed. Each outfit she wears, whether a sparkling gown or a vibrant cocktail dress, carries with it an unspoken message: "I am here, and I will not be defined by anyone else's image." Unlike Melania's polished First Lady elegance or Ivanka's restrained political chic, Tiffany embraces freedom in its rawest form. Her choices, often daring, colorful, and unafraid of critique, reflect not just her taste, but her philosophy. Through fashion, she tells the world she values individuality over conformity, creativity over calculation. She does not need her wardrobe to whisper of power or politics. Instead, it sings of independence, joy, and unapologetic boldness. This in itself is a form of quiet rebellion against the rigid expectations that surround her family name. The deeper meaning behind Tiffany's style lies in her refusal to play by the rules. While her sister and stepmother carefully construct images that align with the political ambitions of the Trump dynasty, Tiffany seems to reject the notion of being boxed in by those same pressures. Her style is not about appealing to voters or maintaining diplomatic poise. It is about authenticity. She chooses sequins where others choose neutrals, bold silhouettes where others favor safety. It is her way of saying, "I am not a political figure. I am Tiffany. I am my own." And perhaps that is why her style resonates with so many young people who feel the same urge to break free from societal molds. Tiffany represents the possibility of standing apart, of being both a Trump and yet not bound by the polished, controlled images that Ivanka and Melania must uphold. She embodies a reminder that fashion can be liberating, a space where identity is not dictated by politics, but by personal truth. The question remains, is this precisely why Tiffany avoids being trapped in the political frame that defines her father and her sister? By choosing to embrace difference, does she protect herself from the expectations that come with being a Trump in the political arena? It is a question worth asking, and one that her bold fashion sense keeps alive every time she steps into the spotlight. As we close this exploration into the world of Trump family fashion, one truth becomes clear: style is never just about clothes. It is a mirror reflecting identity choices and the roles these women step into. Melania Trump, with her regal elegance and polished luxury, embodies the timeless grace of a first lady. Ivanka Trump, with her carefully curated blend of professionalism and femininity, projects the image of a modern political figure, balancing boardroom sharpness with fashion icon poise. And then there is Tiffany Trump, the wild card, the youngest daughter who refuses to blend in, who embraces color, sparkle, and boldness as her declaration of freedom. Each woman carries her own fashion DNA, a style that reveals not only who they are, but also what they stand for. Melania's wardrobe whispers of power and dignity. Ivanka's choices reflect ambition and refinement. Tiffany's outfits scream individuality and rebellion. Together, they create a fascinating contrast that has kept the public and the media endlessly comparing, debating, and admiring. And now, dear viewers, the question is passed to you. Which of these women's styles leaves the deepest impression on you? Do you find yourself drawn to Tiffany's fearless rebellion, to Ivanka's elegant sophistication, or to Melania's majestic grandeur? Each choice tells a story, and your answer reveals what kind of statement you believe fashion should make. We would love to hear your thoughts. Share your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed our deep dive into Trump family fashion, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories where style, power, and personality intertwine. Because fashion is not only about what we wear, it's about who we choose to be.